Per foot price in electrical bidding serves primarily as a tool for initial cost comparison and to give a broad estimate of the overall project expense. It's crucial to understand that this per foot price is not a legally binding bid and doesn't encompass all the intricacies that a final, detailed bid would include. To illustrate, consider a scenario where a house is 4,000 square feet and a per foot price of $4 is used. Then the homeowner decides to supply the recessed cans themselves and plans to install a large number of low voltage cans, perhaps 10 in each room, along with 5 switches per room. Moreover, the homeowner intends to use a high quantity of receptacles, mostly quad receptacles, with a limit of only 4 receptacles per circuit. These additional specifications significantly alter the scope of work compared to a standard installation. The per foot price typically doesn't account for the increased quantity of devices or the homeowner supplying materials. A standard per foot price calculation assumes a typical density of outlets, switches, and lighting fixtures per square foot. When the actual number of devices far exceeds this typical density, the labor and material costs will increase accordingly. Supplying the recessed cans yourself affects the material cost component of the bid, but the contractor still needs to install them. The increased number of low voltage cans translates to more labor for installation and more wiring. 5 switches per room increase the wiring complexity and the number of terminations. Using mostly quad receptacles means more devices to install and potentially more wiring depending on how the circuits are configured. Limiting the circuit load to only 4 receptacles per circuit also means more home runs back to the electrical panel, increasing both material and labor costs. Therefore, a simple multiplication of the square footage by the per foot price won't accurately reflect the actual cost of the project. The final bid must consider the specific quantities and requirements of the installation. In such a case, the initial per foot price of $4 is unlikely to be the final bid price. The contractor would need to assess the detailed plans and specifications to provide an accurate estimate. To avoid misunderstandings and ensure transparency, it's vital to have a detailed discussion with the contractor about the entire project before receiving a final bid. This conversation should cover every aspect of the electrical installation, including the number and type of devices, the homeowner supplied materials, and any special requirement. Open communication ensures that everyone involved is on the same page and helps to prevent unexpected costs or disputes later on. A comprehensive discussion will also help the contractor understand the homeowner's expectations and tailor the bid accordingly. For example, if the homeowner wants to use smart switches or install a home automation system, this should be discussed upfront so that the contractor can factor in the additional wiring and programming requirements. Similarly, if the homeowner wants to use energy-efficient lighting or install a solar panel system, this should be discussed early on so that the contractor can plan for the necessary infrastructure. By discussing all of these details upfront, the homeowner can ensure that they are getting the best possible price for their project and that the final electrical installation meets their needs and expectations. When evaluating an electrical bid, consider these key factors. Firstly, the scope of work. This outlines exactly what the contractor will do, including the number of outlets, switches, lighting fixtures, and other electrical devices to be installed. It should also specify the type of wiring to be used, the size of the electrical panel, and any other relevant details. Secondly, the material costs. This includes the cost of all materials needed for the project, such as wiring, outlets, switches, lighting fixtures, electrical panel, and other components. The bid should itemize these costs so you can see exactly where your money is going. Thirdly, the labor cost. This covers the cost of the electrician's time and expertise. It should include the hourly rate of the electrician and the estimated number of hours required to complete the project. Fourthly, the permits and fees. Electrical work often requires permits from the local building department. The bid should include the cost of these permits and any associated fees. Fifthly, the insurance and bonding. Ensure that the contractor is properly insured and bonded to protect you from liability in case of accidents or damages. Verify that the contractor has adequate insurance coverage and that their bond is valid. Sixthly, the payment schedule. Clarify how the contractor expects to be paid. A typical payment schedule may involve an initial deposit, progress payments as the work is completed, and a final payment upon completion. Seventhly, the change order process. This defines how changes to the original scope of work will be handled. Any changes should be documented in writing and agreed upon by both parties before work begins. Eighthly, the warranty. The contractor should provide a warranty on their work, covering defects in materials or workmanship. The warranty period should be clearly stated in the bid. Ninthly, the references. Check the contractor's references to see what other customers have said about their work. Contact previous clients to inquire about their experience with the contractor's professionalism, quality of work, and adherence to schedule. Tenthly, the license and qualifications. Verify that the contractor is properly licensed and qualified to perform electrical work in your area. Check their license status with the local licensing board and confirm that they have the necessary certifications and training. By considering these factors when evaluating an electrical bid, you can make an informed decision and choose a qualified contractor who will provide quality work at a fair price. Remember that the cheapest bid isn't always the best option. Focus on finding a contractor who is experienced, reliable, and committed to providing excellent service. It is also prudent to ask for a breakdown of costs. A reputable contractor will readily provide a detailed breakdown of the costs associated with the project, including labor, materials, permits, and any other fees. This transparency allows you to understand how the bid was calculated and to compare it with other bids more effectively. Requesting a breakdown of costs can also help you identify any potential areas where you may be able to save money without compromising the quality of the work. For instance, you may be able to choose less expensive materials or adjust the scope of work to fit your budget. It is also important to discuss any potential hidden costs with the contractor. Some contractors may not include certain costs in their initial bid, such as the cost of disposing of old wiring or the cost of repairing any damage to the walls or ceilings. Be sure to ask the contractor about any potential hidden costs so that you are not surprised by unexpected expenses later on. You should also obtain multiple bids from different contractors. Getting at least 3 bids from different contractors allows you to compare prices and services and to get a better understanding of the market rate for the type of electrical work you need. When comparing bids, don't just focus on the bottom line. Pay attention to the details of each bid and make sure that they all include the same scope of work and the same quality of materials. It's also important to check the contractor's insurance and license. Before hiring an electrical contractor, be sure to verify that they are properly licensed and insured. A licensed contractor has met the requirements of the local licensing board and has demonstrated the knowledge and skills necessary to perform electrical work safely and effectively. Insurance protects you from liability in case of accidents or damages during the project. You should also request references from the contractor and check them carefully. Contact previous clients and ask about their experience with the contractor's professionalism, quality of work, and adherence to schedule. Positive references are a good sign that the contractor is reliable and trustworthy. You should also have a written contract with the contractor. A written contract is essential for protecting both you and the contractor. The contract should clearly outline the scope of work, the payment schedule, the materials to be used, the warranty, and any other relevant details. Before signing the contract, read it carefully and make sure that you understand all of the terms and conditions. If you have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to ask the contractor for clarification. In addition to the contract, it is helpful to keep a record of all communications with the contractor, including emails, phone calls, and meetings. This documentation can be useful in case of any disputes or misunderstandings later on. During the project, monitor the contractor's work to ensure that it is being done properly. If you notice any problems or have any concerns, address them with the contractor immediately. It's important to communicate effectively with the contractor throughout the project to ensure that the work is completed to your satisfaction. Finally, before making the final payment to the contractor, be sure to inspect the work carefully and ensure that it meets your expectations. If you find any defects or problems, notify the contractor and give them an opportunity to correct them. Don't make the final payment until you are completely satisfied with the work. By following these tips, you can ensure that you get a fair price for your electrical project and that the work is done properly. Remember to communicate openly with the contractor, ask questions, and monitor the progress of the work to ensure a successful outcome.